Hello, everybody. Well, these are special times, so this is a special Pele report. I'm not outside because I have to pack today and bomb out of here. But besides not being outside, I'm going to do a bunch of reading from different books today. I've gotten good feedback. People like it when I read from books. But it's nice to gather in from different sources and make sense out of everything that is going on these days. Now, I did just post a 2-hour talk that I gave last weekend. If you haven't seen that, you might want to check up on that. But this is a special eclipse report. And I know some of you are already feeling this eclipse. I mean, it's like super powerful. We had the sun conjunct Mercury, okay, and it's coming up to conjunct Uranus, as we can see in the chart. If you look at the chart, pause on that chart at the beginning, we have a sun sandwich. There's Mercury, the sun, and Uranus right opposite the moon for this lunar eclipse, with the Earth right smack dab in between. Okay, so it's a super full moon, and that moon is moving through Scorpio. Yeah, and this is happening on Friday. Some of these other things that are happening, I mean, like right now, the moon is in Libra. Okay, at the time you're listening to this, maybe, if you're listening to it on time. And then she goes into Scorpio on Thursday and comes into that exact eclipse. And you want to pay real attention to this, okay? It's at 14 degrees, 58 minutes of Scorpio. You want to see where 15 degrees of Scorpio falls, okay, in your chart. Because eclipses, as I'm going to read to you a little bit, they really affect the whole collective consciousness. And they're really only going to affect certain ones of us, okay, that have a particular point, a planet, your ascendant, your midheaven, your vertex, or your nodes, some point, either at 15 Scorpio, 15 Taurus, so where the sun is going to be, right in between Mercury and Uranus, or what, 15 Leo, okay, is another one, and 15 Aquarius. So if you've got something at one of those points, it's going to be square. Now, if you've got something at 15 Cancer, okay, that's going to be a nice trine to that lunar eclipse. And if you've got something at 15 Pisces, that's going to be a nice trine. It'll be a little smoother, a little easier for you, okay? So just take that into account. For all of us, no matter what, Venus is square Neptune, okay? And that is happening tomorrow, Thursday, right? Okay? And the moon's moving through Libra, Scorpio. She's going to go up there into Sagittarius, and then Capricorn, by the next week's Pele report. But the other things that are happening then is that what? Venus is moving into Cancer. Feminine planet moving back into a feminine sign. Yeah. So there's a lot of lunar, feminine, water, Venus kind of energy going on, and the sun is in the earth sign of Taurus, and so this is emotional. It's an emotional time, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. Yeah, okay. And then it's next Tuesday, okay, that the sun conjuncts with Uranus, which is going to really, as we will see with the Sabian symbols. I'm going to read you 2 Sabian symbols. One is for the lunar eclipse herself, okay, very strong, Friday, okay, and I'm also going to read to you the Sabian symbol for the sun conjunct Uranus next Tuesday, because there's a definite big connection between the two, as we will discover. So stay tuned. This is great. And but before that, let me just give you a little bit from Alexander Rupert's Cycles of Becoming. He worked with Dane Rudhyar one of the fathers of humanistic astrology that really brought a lot to us. And I want to read to you just a little bit about eclipses. Yeah. Eclipses simply measure intense confrontations with all those things in human nature which hinder spiritual progress by keeping one in a rut, albeit a comfortable and happy rut. They are opportunities to use the past and the present, all that one has previously acquired, as well as where they stand at a given moment, in order to build a more creative future. Since they always challenge an individual to discard all limiting influences and to start something new, they may be stressful times. Whether or not there will be destructive results will depend on the strength of one's inner nature, the sun, and their capacity to maintain their personal integrity while remaining open to necessary changes in the expression of the personality. Lunar eclipses may be more difficult to face constructively than solar eclipses. However, they are also challenges to attempt a new adjustment to life, to give a new quality to one's relationship to his environment. But an astrologer must always remember that eclipses which do not touch important points in the natal chart are not likely to produce strong confrontations for the individual, even though in terms of world events or natural phenomena, they may be spectacular. So we know that BRICS is meeting in South Africa now, and there are 26 other nations that want to join the BRICS movement, which is moving away from using the US dollar as the world currency. It's always been in the past, and it's about a 250-year cycle, almost a Pluto cycle, okay, that different countries, it was the Dutch and then the English, and now it's the United States, and but who's ever got the world currency, which is like oil has been, bought and sold and traded with US dollars, and, this kind of a default really puts whatever country is you got the world currency has a big chunk of power, world power, as in superpower. And we can see this kind of moving away from the United States. Another big bank just fell today in the US, and the banks are failing one after the other. But anyway, so on a world level, and of course this is the Taurus-Scorpio axis. And this Taurus-Scorpio axis, particularly with the Sun, Mercury, Uranus, North Node of the Moon, particular focus, okay, for eclipses, has been going through there since January of 2022, and it's going to move into Aries in July. So, and I've been talking about this, okay? This is a time of really coming into ourselves, becoming more self-sufficient, okay, gaining another source of income, coming into unconditional self-love. We need to value ourselves in order to attract and receive. Venus rules Taurus, the feminine principle of reception, right? Receiving abundance, receiving prosperity, really is a mirror of our own ability to value ourselves. If we want the world to value us, we have to value ourselves. Easy peasy. And not only that, now I also want to really point out, like we said, if you have these points, particularly in this, in these degrees, okay, the Sun-Uranus conjunction actually occurs, and I'm going to read that Sabian symbol, at 18 degrees 56 minutes of Taurus, right? So the eclipse is at 1450 something, right? And then a couple days later, the sun has moved 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and it hits Uranus. So, I mean, they are conjunct, okay? 4 or 5 degrees is darn close enough. and even, Mercury is still conjunct the sun if you want to get techie about it. So, but this is, and how do I want to put it? Let's look at the sun and the moon. The sun is our will. It is our solar purpose, our conscious, creative, powerful, spiritual force. Kaboom! The moon is our psychic, inner, subconscious, habitual, emotional body and self. So kind of conscious and unconscious, right? Subconscious. And these two forces, okay, the light and the dark, they're called the two luminaries. They are the yin and the yang. They balance each other. They play with each other. They just really do a dance together. So what you have to do is you have to go back, okay, to April 19th. That was the solar eclipse. And it was in Taurus on the north node of the moon. Now, a solar eclipse is where the moon occults the sun, blocks the sunlight. So that solar will purpose, okay, is kind of blocked. And new psychic forces. So this is a time of new, like underworld, emotional, psychic, inner child, past life, energies come in, and it's a time of, really new capacities. So it's, there's tuning in, okay, to nature, to our bodies, to the waters, to the ethers, to the spiritual realms, this whole feminine, beautiful but changeable and kind of spooky and loony and like, whoa, chaotic, irrational, illogical. It's all coming up. But there's also some gold there. There's a gift. There's a sensitizing to the subtle energies that happened right around the 19th. And so these last couple of weeks now, that moon has moved around, and what's going to happen? Okay, the earth, okay, is going to block the light of the sun from the moon, right? So the moon is eclipsed by the earth. That is a time where the sun, and the moon's conjunct her south node, so she's weaker. So this Friday, this lunar eclipse, the sun, the solar power, okay, in Taurus, conjunct Mercury and Uranus, this is a time of the solar will, our conscious creative purpose of spirit manifestation through our bodies. It's coming up, and it needs to master. It needs to integrate. It needs to deal with what we could call the dweller on the threshold. The fears, the emotions of the past, the habits, the childhood, the family, our love relationships and partnerships, our sexual partners, forces beyond our control of Scorpio. Okay, this is a time where we really need to come in and get our act together. So it's kind of a test. It's kind of a challenge. I call it a struggle in this week's mantra. Yes? So this is really kind of facing our shadows And it's been a couple of weeks now that, yeah, it's like, yeah, these psychic forces are coming up, and some are, like I said, new capacities, and they're very beautiful, and others need to be discarded as old, useless, undermining energies. So where does this happen? It's in Taurus, baby. We're talking the earth. We're talking our physical bodies. And so I want to read to you a little bit about where these emotions lie in our physical organs, in our physical bodies, because this is what we need to be focused on. This is what we need to be working on. This is, it's like if you get your inner world together, what's going on in the outer world will, be, I don't want to say mastered, but the real work, right, is in our own psyche. Yeah. And so for this, I want to go to my good friend of, Mantek Chia. Yeah. The healing power of the Tao, and the healing light of the Tao. And just one little paragraph. I mean, I'm not going to read forever. But it is understanding the body. This is a time where we need to understand our body. And our body is more than a bunch of physical cells bouncing around, but we have, it's far more complex than that. Students, we're all students here. This is the school of planet Earth. Should begin by studying the internal organs and glands. When problems exist within the organs, certain emotions may arise. When someone is sick or weak in the lungs, the emotions of sadness or depression may occur. Overheating or congestion of the liver can cause anger or moodiness. Weakness in the liver can cause a drop in productivity and a lack of control or balance. When the heart overheats, it can cause impatience, hate, and cruelty to arise. Weakness in the heart can result in a lack of warmth and vitality. Weakness in the spleen, stomach, or pancreas can produce worry, anxiety, and a lack of stability. Weakness in the kidneys can cause fear and a lack of willpower and ambition. So then he does, it's a smiling exercise where you take turns and you smile to each one of your organs, and they smile back to you. And you do this every day. I've been doing it, and it's very interesting. You want to like really do a little anatomy, see where these organs are in your body, and actually smile down to your heart and smile to your lungs, because the smile is very powerful. And we know that the smile comes from the sun. It is the light shining within us, shining on us, bringing the force of life. So smile at yourself and identify yourself. Your body is yourself. It's not some like woo-woo way out there. Our spirit being is right here. This is what Taurus is reminding us. Okay, that we don't need to like project out to the stars and astrology and the cosmos and and our spirit is way out there, and nirvana is far away, and samadhi is even farther. It's just like, no. Taurus and the North Node says, come into your body and experience it right here now in yourself. And so what is the degree, the Sabian symbol for this particular degree, of the lunar eclipse. It just so happens to be children playing around 5 mounds of sand. The keynote is that early steps in the development of a mind seeking to be attuned to the higher level of human evolution. This is a particularly cryptic symbol. It may be deciphered if one realizes that our essential destiny is to develop as a 5-fold being, a pentagram, or 5-pointed star. Number 5 symbolizes mind in its most creative and penetrating aspect, while number 4 refers to the life processes operating at present within the Earth's biosphere. Our Western civilization has realized only the lower level of this vibration 5. Mind contaminated. Remember that word, contaminated. Yes? The mind contaminated by compulsive instincts and emotional involvement. Some individuals, however, are born with a special potential for development of the higher creative mind, and in social circumstances favoring this development. In most cases, they are still, and he puts it in quotes, playing around with their unusual capacity. They are in the kindergarten stage of this higher mind development. This symbol, is the transcendent possibilities of mental evolution, which require interpersonal communion in consciousness, and they are evolved through that. The free spirit of true scientific inquiry, Pluto going into Aquarius, right? Stationing retrograde, is only a foreshadowing of such a type of mind, which demands dedication to mankind as a whole, not self-interest. What is seen here is a future-oriented growth. So here's what I want to bring up. Very interesting that the sun is sandwiched between Mercury, the lower mind, the ego mind, the linear, logical, rational, biosphere, earthbound, here, now, brain, right? Ego consciousness. And Uranus, the higher octave of Mercury, the genius, this, the third eye awakening, the witness, the observer, the liberated, enlightened consciousness that sees far, far into the future and far, far into the past. And is this, represents that creative genius within all of us. Yeah. And so here we have, and even the song for today, all right, I got this song. I think it's Melissa sent me this song, and it's Renee. She just turned me on to this guy. It's intense. I almost didn't even finish listening to it, but I stayed in with it because it was so fascinating, and it's so Scorpio, and it's so intense. But you got to see this guy, right? And he turns, and he's singing to Uranus, and then he's singing to Mercury, and Uranus, and back to Mercury. And it's like, wow, it's like so perfect for this Pele report. I can't believe it. And he comes out of it at the end. And then of course I'm going to put another song by him that's a little more mellow, and you can see that this guy is evolving for sure in a very Uranian fast track Plutonian path. But anyway, so we have this, okay, we have this sense of here's this eclipse, right? And it's bringing up all of these, all of these instincts and these habitual patterns, but there is this opportunity. The opportunity is afforded us with that powerful sun energy and light to move out of this ego consciousness and rid ourselves, step out of the rut of the past, of our childhood conditioning, of of different situations that I'll get into a little bit more after I read to you, right? The sun conjunct Uranus, yeah. And this one's been popping up a little bit before. You may even remember it. I remember I did. Taurus 19 degrees. A new continent rises out of the ocean. The surge of new potentiality after the crisis. The symbol need hardly be commented upon. When the mind has been emptied and light has been called upon to purify the consciousness, freed from its attachments and contaminations, a new release of life can emerge out of the infinite ocean of potentiality, the virgin space. What will it be used for? This suggests how to approach whatever new phase of life has not only been hoped for, but actually confirmed. The technique is simply to allow the infinite potential to operate in unconstrained spontaneity. This means to have reached a state in which the conscious, rational ego is no longer a controlling factor. Is that the sun conjunct Uranus or what? It's moving away from Mercury, okay? The conscious ego, lower mind, okay, concerned with this daily reality, and it's moving into Uranus, which is, spontaneously creative, breaking free, liberating, and just allowing ourselves through trust in divine intervention. Yes, in the powers of life to support us in our journey, and letting go of the worry and the concerns and the anxiety and the depression and the moodiness, cleansing those organs, using that solar power light, using that smile to just wash away all that bullshit. So what does this look like? What is this, how do we apply this, right? Well, where is it going to come up? Okay. It's going to come up in a number of different places because this is happening on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. So, the number one place, the most intimate place, is in our most intimate relationships, our sexual relationships, okay, where we have, Scorpio alchemically merged and united with another, okay, and they are in us, psychically, not only through sexual fluids, which is a karma sharing, okay, but so it's very much so in, and what is the call? No more codependency. Yeah, the call is to like come home to it's my heart, it's my organs, it's my body, it's my survival, it's my ability to love myself, irregardless, okay, of what people project onto me or the shadows that they, see or what. It's like, I need to come home to my innermost self. Oh, by God, that's the name of a workshop that I'm doing. I think it's in Spain in September. Check it out. But this coming in, okay, this like, really, and I'm not going to go into other stuff, but where else? Finances. This is also the money axis. Okay, and this is also a situation of, yes, there are forces beyond our control, Scorpio and the moon, and a global currency, and the CBDCs of the digital currency, and the all the stuff that's coming in with the whole banking and inflation, and the economics are going like so bonkers, and the world could turn topsy-turvy upside down, and it could cause a lot of people to freak out. But it's just like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm bigger than that. Spirit is more powerful than that. So even though the boat is rocking on the waves of the ocean, I've got a nice life jacket. I've got a nice, something to hold on to here. Yeah. And what I'm holding on to is the spirit of light. Yeah. Within my truth, within myself. Knowing that I have a purposeful existence, that I incarnated at this specific time, and I am right where I need to be right now, and I can be in the moment and be spontaneous and allow the new me, allow the change. This is a big change. Allow yourselves to change by letting go of what maybe got you this far, or has used to be your security, or used to give you an identity, or used to. This is a new opportunity for a new identity, for a new phase. So it's time to restructure. Okay, your finances, your income, your job, how you sustain yourself, how you survive, and open yourself up to new opportunities in communion with other people, like the Sabian symbol said. Yeah, without codependency. It's like a new way of doing relationship. So these relationships need to alter and change. Okay, and it's going to be uniquely different for each and every one of us because we're all at different stages. We're all in different places of our evolution. This may be a place where, you are single and you need to like let go of your fears, okay, and trust, someone to open and to be vulnerable. You may be in, okay, a relationship that's no longer serving you or working with you, and you may be dealing with fears about, can I make it alone, or I don't want to hurt anybody, or, feel guilty, or, break a commitment, or what. You may want to move into polyamory, but then you're afraid of the shame or the blame that you're going to get from this, that, or the other, religion or family or so there's all these different, fears that can come up. And these are the dwellers on the threshold that may be preventing the highest expression of your truth through your body, through your life. It may be even moving to another country, changing houses, okay, changing jobs. And, it's like you want to just kind of look at the whole situation as the purpose. The purpose of the situation is for you to look at your emotions. It's a setup. We're just all being set up to evolve through self-discovery, through knowing ourselves and through knowing what's holding us back. That's what it's about. We're not going to, you're not going to die. And maybe you will. I mean, maybe it's time for you to die, and your soul is going to come back again in another way, in another time, in another place to do it. Do it all over again in an even better situation or whatever. But it's letting go, and yeah, it can be letting go of life. It can be letting go of fears around death. It can be letting go of just yeah. You get the idea. So here is the mantra for today, right? The struggle that lies within my soul is bigger than what's out there. For I must conquer the demons of doubt by facing all that I fear. One last note about this before I let you go. Fear comes in many ways. It doesn't have to be some kind of like phobia, or where you wake up after a nightmare, or something happens and you get overwhelmed with emotions and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, it's not all in that realm. And this is the tricky part. The ego is very smart. The ego is very tricky, and it can come in the form of logical, rational, if I quit this job, I'm not going to have, the money that I need to pay my mortgage. Yeah. So the fear, okay, of not surviving, the fear of not being supported by life, the fear that I am not valuable enough for life, like I'm separate from the tapestry of life, the web of life, like I'm outside, can just be so deep, so suppressed, that the mind, we make up stories to justify our fears. So I encourage you to look at your stories and know that they are stories. Know that the ego is making up a story to rationalize and justify. Sometimes it's rationalizing and justifying you not changing. And this is when shit happens. When we are so caught in our story, and our Mercury mind has, made a whole big bullshit, that Uranus comes in, okay, and you get fired, or your bank closes, or your, spouse leaves you, or your, so what the idea here, okay, is, and this is where it just really comes into, this place of penetrating and really dealing with the demons of doubt. And look at what you doubt. It can be a pathway down beneath this layer of conscious BS into the underlying motivating forces, fears, and desires that are the root of the tree of your story. I fucking love it, man. I got to remember some of this stuff. The struggle that lies within my soul is bigger than what's out there. For I must conquer the demons of doubt by facing all that I fear. Ah, yeah, baby. Happy lunar eclipse. Woo! Ready for the ride, baby. Namaste. aloha, so much luck. I mean love. Yeah. Luck and love, L and L. Ciao, ciao.